people following us online from YouTube channel and Facebook channel, so that welcome you as well. And as the chair of this process today, I'm very briefly going to introduce you with the agenda that we have today. So that after this very short introduction, I'm giving the floor to my good colleague Kaisa Linderburg, who has been really helpful during this whole process. And Kaisa will introduce the candidate and will talk about her academic CV. Then after that, we will have Triin, who is going to present her work, her doctoral dissertation, and she will have approximately 20 minutes, so that I will keep the time then. After Triin's presentation, we are going to give floor to our two opponents. So that first Declan will have his 25 to 30 minutes for debate, for asking questions, for telling her his comments to the doctoral candidate, and then Dr. Brent McKenzie will follow with his part. When this debate part, which is one of the most interesting parts, and I hope we'll have a really good and interesting academic debate, then there will be following questions from other committee members, and this time from me then. And also I'm giving the floor and microphone to questions that are coming from the audience, and either audience from this room or audience from online channels. And for this, then please use the chat so that you can add your questions, your comments in the chat, and Kaisa will then just give these to me. After we have had all these questions and comments related to the dissertation, we are going to close the online channels for a short break, so that, and ask also audience members to leave this room, so that we are having the defense committee members will have 10 minutes time for discussion, and then also voting. And after this 10 minutes discussion and voting in the end, we'll announce the voting results. And then we have more time to Triin to tell some last words from her side, and then also giving microphone to supervisors. So this is our agenda, and now I would like to give floor and also microphone to Kaisa, who is introducing Triin.
Honorable chairperson of the committee, members of the committee, supervisors, and the defendant. Triin Veideman has presented all the documents that are necessary according to the procedure for successful completion of the doctoral program and defense of EBS. She has presented the thesis titled The Impact of Total Quality Management on Business Performance, Evidence from the Estonian Tourism Sector. The set of documents which Triin Veideman has presented also contains a copy of her master's diploma from University of Tartu. Triin Veideman has fulfilled the requirements of the curriculum of doctoral studies in management to defend the doctoral thesis and acquired the necessary amount of credit points. On August 16, 2021, the Research and Development Council of the Estonian Business School admitted Triin Veideman to defend the dissertation for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Management. The board also set the date of the defense. The defense committee of Triin Veideman's doctoral thesis was confirmed with the Rector's degree number 20U on September 21, 2021. Triin Veideman has presented her academic CV. It is the following. She was born in Haljala, Estonia, on September 2nd, 1987. She received the degree of Master of Arts in Social Sciences in Wellness and Spa Service Design and Management in 2014. Triin Veideman was enrolled as a doctoral student in Estonian Business School in 2016 and has by now completed the program. Triin Veideman has started her professional career in tourism sector as a spa therapist in Norway and Ireland and continued in the same sector as a manager and quality coordinator in Estonia. From 2019, she has been working as a business analyst in the State Shared Service Center, a government agency under the administration of the Ministry of Finance. The dissertation of Triin Veideman is based on 2 publications from 2019 and 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaisa, for the introduction. And now I'm really happy to give floor to Triin, who is going to present her work. And yes, as I told you earlier, you have 20 minutes for this. So good luck.
Thank you, Mari. Honorable members of the committee, dear audience, I'm glad to present you my PhD thesis, where I investigated the impact of total quality management on business performance in tourism sector. Destination management organizations who are responsible for managing and marketing tourism destinations have designed quality certifications based on total quality management programs in order to enhance the quality and customer satisfaction of tourism businesses in their destination. As in this sector, tourism product is a sum of different services offered by various service providers. Therefore, the quality and success of a single business contributes to the overall competitiveness of the destination. At the same time, tourists are heavily relying upon online reviews and ratings before they do their purchase decision, and similarly, after the experience, they tend to share their thoughts and emotions online. Yet, it is not clear if the officially certified businesses also receive better online reputation and also whether they have improved their financial performance. When I started to investigate this topic more thoroughly, I identified several research gaps. There is still no clear understanding of the nature of the relationship between these variables. And also, previous evidence is largely based upon manager perceptions, whereas there is a lot of critics towards the information gathered from inside of the business, as it is said to be open to certain bias, as managers may want to justify their managerial decisions and therefore maybe provide more positive answers than the actual situation really is. Then the proxy for total quality management has mainly been ISO certification, whereas as I started, I said that a lot of destination management organizations like Spain, France, UK, Germany, who are all top 5 amongst the tourism and travel competitiveness report, have tailored their own quality programs. And also, the focus has previously been on large hotels, whereas over 80% of businesses in tourism sector worldwide are small and medium or even micro ones, which means that the previous conclusions made based on large hotels may not hold in terms of small and medium enterprises. In order to fulfill these gaps, the aim of my thesis is to determine the relationship between total quality management and business performance in tourism sector. I have set 4 main aims, which are, first of all, to analyze the relationship between total quality management and online reputation, then between total quality management and financial performance. Then I look into the relationship between online reputation and financial performance. And finally, I look those 3 constructs in interaction. And the root research question of my thesis is, what is the relationship between total quality management, online reputation, and financial performance in tourism sector? There is still an ongoing discussion and debate whether total quality management is a theory on its own or whether it's just a set of managerial strategy how to effectively manage a business. In my thesis, based on previous scholars, I have identified total quality management as an holistic set of management tools and practices implemented with the aim to reduce costs and increase customer satisfaction, while continuously improving the processes inside of the company or also the services offered for the customers. It is also important for the business to keep in mind their social and environmental impact, and also to be able and willing to respond to the changing needs of the market. And the theoretical assumption of my thesis is based on previous scholars who claim that there's a causal relationship between the total quality management and the outcomes of business performance. In order for the TQM implementation to be successful, there are certain factors which need to be present. And based on the research on service industry and more specifically in tourism sector, I have identified 8 of those critical success factors. And when these factors are present, it is assumed that total quality management will help to increase customer satisfaction, which in my thesis is equal with online reputation. As I already said in the beginning, customers express their satisfaction or dissatisfaction via online reviews and ratings. Then the total quality management on itself is assumed to act as a signaling instrument, meaning that customers know to look for certifications, and therefore this certificate should attract more customers and enhance financial performance. And based on these assumptions, I have proposed 7 hypotheses. And also the 8th one looks into the relationship between online reputation and financial performance. And last but not least, I look into the possibility that maybe online reputation could act as a mediator between the relationship of total quality management and financial performance. The research context of my study is Estonian tourism. Estonian sector, as over 80% of businesses in Estonia in tourism are small and medium or even micro ones. Then EHE certification I use as a proxy for TQM, as this certification consists all of those critical success factors which I previously touched upon, and I compare the performance of 66 certified SMEs with the performance of 167 non-certified SMEs. In terms of customer evaluation data, I have collaborated with a service provider called Review Pro, and I use their global review index, which is an aggregate online score based on scores from almost 200 different online travel platforms like Booking.com, TripAdvisor, and Expedia. For financial performance, I analyze sales growth, profit margin, return on equity, and return on assets, as these are the most well appreciated financial performance indicators, and the data for financial indicators comes from balance statements and income sheets, which in Estonia businesses have to report annually, and I use the data for 7 years from 2012 to 2018. In order to test the strength of the relationship, I use a statistical method called ordinary least squares, and in order to detect the possible causality, I implement instrumental variable two-stage least squares method. To continue with the most interesting part for you are the findings. First of all, it became evident that the certified tourism businesses have higher online ratings compared to non-certified businesses. And my study got the same results which many previous studies have found, whereas I have to say that the first 3 ones marked in green, they relied upon managers' perceptions, and the rest of the 3, they did more the traditional customer studies, meaning that they sent out service to the customers. Whereas Heras and Caesar Vitoria got different results than I did, but they first of all investigated ISO certification, and second of all, their unit of analysis were large hotels in Spain and Italy, and that might be the reason why we got different results. In terms of financial performance, it became apparent that certified tourism businesses did not improve their financial performance after certification, and neither did they outperform their non-certified counterparts. Well, actually, they did have a better return on sales, but this indicator was proven to be better already before the certification. In terms of online reputation and financial performance, my findings confirm what others have already also showed, that there is a positive relationship between those variables. I also identified that online reputation can act as a mediator between the relationship of total quality management and financial performance. And at least to my knowledge, at least I didn't find any other studies which had shown the same relationship. To interpret the findings that I just introduced, first of all, the universal assumption that satisfied customers are more loyal and more willing to return might not just hold in the tourism sector, meaning that even when the customers are totally happy and satisfied with the service, they still might decide to go to another destination or book another accommodation, so service diversification is important to them. Then I cannot overlook the uncertain environmental conditions where tourism businesses are operating in. For example, due to the political and economical challenges between Ukraine and Russia in 2014, Estonian tourism sector also witnessed over 36% decrease of the Russian market in 2015, and this is also the year which is under examination in my thesis. Then several researchers highlight the essence of tourism businesses, and they most importantly stress their lack of managerial and financial management skills, and they're saying that maybe the financial growth is not their main agenda, that they're more like lifestyle entrepreneurs who are there to communicate and interact with the customers, and they enjoy the hospitality side of the business. Then it might also be that More advanced and goal-oriented businesses are the ones who seek for certification, so that the selection effect outperforms the treatment effect. And there has also been some criticism towards the quality certification programs themselves. That some authors claim that maybe the modification has gone too far and there's not much left of the original total quality management programs, and also that the implementation from businesses might be too superficial, and also that there's a lack of marketing opportunities for the businesses who have the certification, that the label does not ring any bell in the eyes of the customers, and therefore there's a low awareness among them as well. I would like to bring out the main novelty of my research, which is to use the online reputation to validate the relationship between total quality management and business performance, and also to explain the differences between successful and unsuccessful total quality management implementations. Then it became clear that the businesses who implement the certificates based on total quality management have received higher customer ratings online, whereas the volatile financial performance of tourist businesses is very unlikely to be directly affected by total quality management implementation. And for that, there is a need for the business to also have a high online reputation. Then I would point out the two main limitations of my study. First one is the homogeneity of the tourism sector in Estonia. But then again, also over 95% of tourist businesses worldwide are also the same kind. So that gives me the confidence that my results are also applicable to other countries. Then I cannot overlook the trustworthiness of customer evaluation data, but I could say that the situation here is the same for the certified and also for non-certified businesses. And I would recommend for the future studies to include more non-financial measures, for example, added value to the business, and also customer loyalty and staff satisfaction and turnover, to add more reliability into this topic. Then I would also suggest to investigate more thoroughly the reasons why total quality management implementation has not contributed to any financial gain. And finally, I would like to suggest for the destination management organizations to really acknowledge the power of online reputation when they are designing quality certificates for the businesses. And also it would be beneficial to include online reputation into those certifications, meaning that first of all the applicant should be aware of their online reputation, and second of all, this reputation should be up to a certain level in order for the business to receive the certification. Because without acknowledging the power of online reputation, the total quality management programs might slowly but steadily lose their shine. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, Triin, for your presentation. And now it is time where we have the most interesting and also maybe also intriguing part of this defense. So that first we are going to give floor to Declan. So Declan, now it's your turn, and approximately 25 to 30 minutes. So please.
School, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
It would be lovely to start a meeting sometime without saying, can you hear me? Firstly, thank you very much for the opportunity to be your opponent and external examiner on this thesis. And it's a thesis that I find both very interesting, very challenging, and quite robust. Obviously, from the external examiner's point of view, the one thing that we must actually be really, really convinced about is that new knowledge has been created. That is the tenet of a doctoral degree. You did mention, particularly in your conclusions in your presentation, that you draw out 3 or 4 key findings, notably the validation of relationships between TQM and business performance, and that TQM leads to higher online ratings. Not sure this is a question or a comment, but surely with the churn rate you highlighted, that just because a customer is happy, they don't necessarily return to the same hotel or destination. However, with the TQM leading to higher satisfaction, surely this will lead to higher referrals and thus potentially new customers.
Sorry, I'm not sure I got everything I heard.
Okay, I'll repeat. There is a question in there, and the question is, if TQM leads
Declan, you were frozen for some time.
Okay, I will start again. One of your key findings is that TQM leads to higher online ratings, but could the higher online ratings deliver better referrals to potential new customers? Therefore, there's a causal effect.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, it can be the same as I said for the financial performance, as well as that it might be the selection effect rather than the treatment effect, and that the better online ratings and reviews which are out there also direct customers to continue this and also provide more positive reviews themselves. And that's where I would need to have data for longitudinal data, so that I would have more years before they had the certification to see what was the situation before that. So that would give more insight. But right now, from the Review Pro, I got their score is based on one certain time, but it's still it is calculated based on 1 year back, and also it compares this time period with also 1 year due to this before this time period. So that provides also the confidence that these reviews have been there for a longer period, and that it's not just this one certain point at the present.
Okay, thank you for your response. Another one of your conclusions, which I thought was very interesting, was that certification does not lead to improved financial performance. But there's lots of ways of measuring financial performance. You did indicate that probably further research is needed in terms of non-financial performance. But from the data and research I have read, TQM programs are very costly in terms of time, effort, and because they're costly in terms of implementation, surely that will actually reduce the financial performance of companies that implement them. Your comments would be appreciated.
Yes, well, it's a point of discussion. Where's the break-even point for implementing total quality management, and when would the benefits should occur. And the costs with implementing TQM are usually associated with the 3 different steps. First of all, with the application, then with the implementation, and also with operating it. Yeah, and when it comes to the quality certification in tourism, then most of them are subsidized, meaning that the applicants do not have to pay for them to get the certification, that the process is free of charge for them. But to implement it and to operate, for example, if they changing the light poles to more sustainable ones, then this for sure is a costly thing. So yeah, therefore I think it would be better to include more years into the examination and see when is the break-even point, because some scholars say already 1 year after implementation the financial benefits should occur. Then again, the others say that it's 3 years. And in my study, I looked into businesses for whom the period was 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, and I still didn't find any financial gain.
Okay, thank you for your response. I'm assuming that the TQM standards you're referring to are Estonia's national standards. Did you do any sort of comparison?
I thought I understood what he was asking, but we'll wait. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Again, frozen. Declan, can you hear us? What about our IT people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Roika on ka seal mõlemad. So that... okay, yes.
Uh-huh.
Declan, you were also frozen now for some time. Again,
Can you hear me again now?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay, my next question is relating to the types of TQM program. I'm assuming the TQM program in Estonia is government-backed and fairly standardized, so you were comparing like with like. But did you look at the different types of TQM programs offered around Europe? Obviously, what the British do is going to be different from what the Irish do, the Spanish do, the French do, and there will be different amounts of training or investment in the types of TQM.
Well, yeah, first of all, when I analyzed those critical success factors which need to be present, and then, yeah, for these I also looked into previous works what other scholars had done in terms of tourism, and also I looked into the same countries which I already mentioned, UK and Spain as well, for example, and then the EHE certification, which I investigated, this is also in accordance with European Tourism Quality Initiative. So it's like this umbrella scheme which all European countries should take into like a role model and to build their certification upon that. And then it's also suggested that it would be easier to do the marketing, so in the European region. But unfortunately, I cannot tell if this initiative has brought to life or what is its stage at the moment.
Okay, thank you. What would you regard as the main limitations of your methodology, and how robust do you perceive that it is?
Well, yeah, I would bring out the main one is the customer evaluation data and its trustworthiness that I already touched upon in my presentation, because it has been criticized that they are relatively easy to manipulate, meaning that businesses may pay for their employees or just random people to produce those reviews, but I know that the online platforms are fighting against it, and with the tools that they are allowing to provide the reviews only for the users who have actually booked the experience from their site, and also that it can't be anonymous anymore, that you have to have your you have to identify yourself before you are able to write the review. Then these reviews have also been criticized, that it's hard to tackle their semantic, both for the customers and also for the scholars when they try to analyze it for the scientific purposes. But yeah, actually this is not the case in my thesis, as I don't do the semantic analysis. And in terms of the information overload, that's why I have collaborated with Review Pro, because to be honest, they have done the work for me and gathered all the information with their tools, and I just had the pleasure to analyze it.
Okay, thank you for your response. Reflection is regarded nowadays in higher education as one of the key tenets of learning, and this is shown in modern learning cycles such as COB, etc. If you
Again. Declan is frozen again. Yes. So Declan, you were frozen again for some time. Still frozen. Still frozen. It was working perfectly before. Yes. So you were frozen again for some time. So please.
I'm sorry, I will repeat the question. Reflection is regarded in higher education as one of the key aspects of actually the learning process. And no doubt you have reflected quite substantially on the process of your PhD. So my question is, what would you do differently if you were starting your PhD again?
To be honest, I would find myself a research group, study group, to do the work together with as a team, as it has been one of a lonely journey. So yeah, that would be the first and main thing I would do differently. Yeah, than to try to tackle this huge problem on my own.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned some future areas for research. Obviously, I'm very much a chartered marketer and a marketing academic, and you said you would like to take a more customer orientation. Could you maybe unwrap that a bit and explain a little bit more about how you would do that?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again, please?
You mentioned in your presentation that one of the future areas for research would be to take a less financial performance viewpoint and a more customer orientation viewpoint. Could you say a little bit more about that, please?
Well, yeah, in order to investigate more thoroughly the actual viewpoint of the customers, rather than just looking at the online ratings and reviews that they have given, I think the best strategy would be to do some focus groups interviews with customers that have actually visited the businesses, and also, yeah, let me just think, lost my mind now what I wanted to say. And yeah, and to also go more deeply into what are they, what do they expect, what is their awareness of the certificates, first of all, and what do they expect, and what do they value in these certificates. And I can also say that I tried to do it, but I tackled upon the situation that businesses were not able to provide me the context and the information about their customers because they just weren't collecting it themselves. So they didn't have anything to handle over me. And yeah, of course, I could have gone like there on spot and make the interviews, but yeah, that will be for the future then.
Okay, thank you very much. My last is regarding to the quality of the research. And one of the tenets of a PhD is that the work that you do has to be of publishable quality. Have you published any of your research?
I have presented 2 articles in the tourism-related conferences, and these articles have been published in the conference proceedings. So the first one was about TQM and online reputation, and the second one about TQM and financial performance. But those 3 constructs in interaction, this one is only in my thesis at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your responses. That concludes my questions. I'd like to thank you for your presentation today, and particularly thank your supervisors, because I know how much work supervisors put in to supporting you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Declan, so much for your questions and also comments. So next, we'll give floor and microphone to Brent, so that please, Brent, it's your turn now, and again 25-30 minutes, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mari. Again, mirroring some of Declan's comments, very much appreciated the opportunity to be part of this process. I very much appreciated your presentation. Again, it's always a challenge to summarize a number of years of work into a short discussion. I also mirrored some of the questions Declan had also raised, so I'll focus on a couple other things. Could you explain the difference between online ratings and online reputation?
Yeah, thank you for the question. The difference between, yeah, well, the online ratings is the scores given. So is it like in 5-point scale or in 10-point scale, depends on the platform. Then there are also online reviews, which are the comments written, and those both of them together I look at as online reputation.
And is that the values that were provided from that third-party company you mentioned in the dissertation? Like the data you received for that? So they were providing online reputation?
Yes, the information of the online reputation, yeah.
Okay, and did you have the specific by firm, or it was aggregated?
It was already aggregated, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then the other measure you're looking at from a TQM standpoint, you had financial measures, correct? Again, was that aggregated, or did you have firm-specific data?
Oh, you mean the aggregated is for the online reputation, it's the aggregated score for each business. has their own.
Okay,
But
so you did have each company's rating or reputational rating.
And the aggregation is for each company, and it comes from the different platforms like TripAdvisor and Booking, like I said. So that's the aggregated score for one business, and I had the scores for each business. And in terms of financial performance, I had these 4 indicators for each business and for 7 consecutive years.
So you could compare at a firm level, you could do analysis.
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Using the proxy of the certification program in terms of representing TQM, I'm unclear why you just didn't use certification, because I guess my question is, the name of your thesis focused on TQM, but it's not really, I would suggest, measuring TQM, or it's not using TQM measures. It's using, and that's why, if you could expand a little more what this certification program is collecting. I believe you mentioned they don't collect if a company does customer surveys, or?
Well, yeah, the certification which I use, or why I use it as a proxy for TQM, and also why I have named my thesis accordingly, is that this certification is based upon Total Quality Management Program. So all the factors, starting from customer focus, employee empowerment, etc., these are all the factors which are also present in this certification, meaning that a business has to fill up certain criteria which are based on these total quality management programs. And that because in the end, this certification is the total quality management program that the business is implementing. It's just that for the business's own sake, and also for the sake of the customers, it is not communicated as this outside, but it's more like just a certification, or even just a Q label.
And how is the certification company funded?
The certification company.
Because you said there's no fee, right, to get certified.
Well, if we take the same Estonian example, then it's funded by the EU funds. So, yeah.
Okay, and who would these people be that do the certification? Are they government employees, or?
A committee of experts, which consists of tourism experts, also members of Estonian Quality Association, and these are the jury which decides whether the applicant receives the certification or not. But before that, the implementation process goes that firstly the applicant does the self-assessment, so fills out the criteria, which after there will be an so-called inspector who goes on the spot and actually checks if the criteria are met, and then the decision is taken to the jury who has the final saying.
Okay, so unlike the ISO, I guess 9001, which would be for services, as you said, these tourism companies are not paying for the certification. You also mentioned, obviously, it takes time to do it, so there's a cost. So what is the expectation, or what are the goals of the certification board? Like, do they have a mandate to get more companies certified, or does it matter?
Actually, that is the main reason why I enrolled to EBS and why I got interested in this subject, because due to my work, I was the one also doing I was the quality manager for the whole tourism sector in Estonia, and that was the question was in air. What should we do with the certifications? Whether to continue with them? Some of my colleagues, industry leaders, were saying yes, of course, and the other one was saying, no, there's no point to continue with them. And that's why, as it was opinion against opinion, I was looking for actual facts. So what is really happening with the businesses who apply to certifications, in other words, who implement these total quality management programs?
Okay, so in terms of this organization that does these certifications, they have goals or expectations for that. So I guess my larger question that I'm trying to get to are, what are your what would you say maybe potential concerns with using this type of data in the analysis that you're doing, or this type of sample? What are some potential limitations of the sampling?
Yeah, well, the limitations of the sample is that if I only look at the Estonian sector, it might be that the results are not applicable to other countries, but then again, 90% of businesses in Estonian tourism sector are SMEs or even micro ones, and the same one goes to over 85% of the tourism businesses worldwide. So therefore, I wouldn't highlight any other sample-specific limitations.
Okay,
Anything
thank
specific?
you. In terms of the, my biggest challenge is trying to understand this component of the reputation, because customer service literature or service quality literature, there's always a component for the customer's view, the customer's experiences, the customer's feedback. And I'm still trying to get it clear in my mind, and hopefully you can help me with this, is why is that important, or sorry, why is that of critical importance to a firm to have a third party providing this information, i.e., why would they not just collect this information themselves as they have historically?
Well, where I would go with this question is I would touch upon the essence of tourism businesses, as to begin with the entry barrier to enter the tourism sector is relatively low, meaning that there is no previous requirements needed or know-how needed to enter this, and therefore a lot of people start their businesses in tourism for the sake of interaction with the people, which means that they might not have the proper skills to manage the business, and that's one of the remedy to for this are the certifications which the tourism authorities are offering, and they are also now, due to the, which you also mentioned, that maybe the participation rate is not what they have expected. They're also trying to keep up with modern technologies, and are also trying to put this same total quality management based programs online, meaning that I'm hoping that businesses would participate more, as they have more time to choose when to enroll in these programs.
Okay, thank you very much. Going back to the companies that are certified and not certified. So as you mentioned, you had the financial information for each of the companies, and you had the customer reputation data for each of those firms as well, correct? Okay, so did you analyze any similarities and differences of the certified and not certified in the size of the types of tourism they're providing? I guess what I'm asking is, if I'm a company that's marketing trips that'll be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 euros versus 20 euros for an attraction or a site, I'm going to have a different focus. So I was curious if you broke out the data based on the types of attractions and therefore customers that these different certified or uncertified businesses would have had.
I did use purposive sampling in my study, meaning that the non-certified, the control group, I chose upon the similar characteristics in terms of size and also in terms of fields of activity.
Sorry, when you say size, is either employees or revenues or?
Employees, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, let me know.
Sorry.
No worries. I'll just, we were talking about, how I chose the sample. And I chose the ones without certification who were members of Estonian Rural Tourism Association. So it meant that I'm not comparing businesses who are operating here, for example, in Tallinn's Old Town, but I have the ones who are located in the rural areas of Estonia, so that's why there is, it wouldn't be the difference which you just explained in terms of the sales, for example. Yeah.
And again, mirroring one of Declan's questions about qualitative research, so you didn't meet with any of the certified or uncertified companies, or you just took the data that was in existence?
Yes, I decided to do my thesis based on facts, because, and to be honest, I didn't, with this move, with this strategy, I didn't choose the easier way for myself. It would have been easier to go and interview the people and tackle the issue more qualitatively, but as quantitatively, I didn't have the answers yet, so I decided to go this path, and for the future, it would add up if the qualitative side would back the findings I have proposed today.
Okay, thank you. So based on the hypotheses that you tested, there was mixed results, some supported, some not. The question I always ask of anyone that does research is the so what question. So in terms of what you found out, generally when we think of a doctoral dissertation, you're contributing to knowledge in theory and practice. And I'm very comfortable with what you've presented and written in terms of practice. I'm still a little unclear what you believe you contributed to theory. And with that perspective, the fact if things have not been done before does not generally provide support for why you do something. So could you expand a little more on what you believe is the contribution to theory that has resulted from your dissertation?
Yeah. Before I started my study, the assumption is that total quality management implementation improves business performance and inside of it financial performance. But my contribution is that I show that this relationship is not that straightforward as previously anticipated, but now due to the changed behavior of the customers, online reputation, online reviews and ratings play a very crucial role, and TQM implementers have to keep this in mind and have to consider it as well. Otherwise, the benefits are unlikely to occur.
Okay. Just one kind of an interest question at the end here, back to your sample. So these companies were all, were they a mix of public and private? Like, were any of these public companies, publicly traded companies?
Private companies.
They're all private. And you can just get that data, like, I'm just, that would be very difficult for us to get that level of private company data. And I'm assuming you had to sign off some kind of privacy something, or?
The difficulty of getting this data is also brought out by many other scholars who have not to explain the reasons why they haven't done the quantitative study. But yeah, in Estonia you have to sign the agreement, and if you say that it's for the sake of PhD thesis, then it's all accessible, this information.
So you had to have an agreement with all those companies?
No, I got it from the commercial business registry from Estonia.
Okay. Thank you very much. And once again, that was a very enjoyable experience to be part of this, and thank you.
Thank you.
Brent was rather brief this time, so that I was
shocking,
expecting...
isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's really shocking. So now there is time for more questions, and this time these are from me. There were already some of my questions that were asked by Declan and Brent, but I have still more questions. And when Declan was asking from you that when you are going to start all over again, then what are you going to do differently? I'm asking the same idea, let's say the question with the same idea, but in a little bit different way. And I'm asking in this way that if you would be the critical evaluator of your work, then what are the main aspects that you are going to bring out? And then what do you suggest how these will be handled?
Thank you for the intriguing question, Mari. I would to criticize my own work.
Yeah.
I would say, even though I several times indicated that the homogeneous sector of the tourism globally, I would still suggest to myself to add more countries into the study, although as Declan also said that it's not that simple in every country as it is in Estonia to get the information as well. And also, I think the best combination is the best thing would be to combine quantitative and qualitative study. So my study would definitely benefit from the in-depth interviews as well, interviews with customers and also with the businesses and other tourism stakeholders and authorities. Yeah.
Okay, so these are, let's say, your main points. Okay, that's good. Then I would like to hear also that what might be, let's say, either one or a couple of the most important value-added aspects from your work to the scientific community of the world in total quality management and in tourism sector, so that what might be something that is like your value addedness in this field, so that what would you like to highlight?
I would like to highlight again the usage of online reputation. As in tourism, it's really like in any service sector, really with a vital importance, no matter what aspect to look at. And in terms of quality management studies, it's slowly starting to build upon, and scholars are using it. But I would say, yeah, I managed to get the hold of this issue in the quite, not an early stage, but not in the last ones, or it's not that major field yet. If we compare that, the management research, quality management research itself, it's quite major field, but I managed to find some new angles how to look at it and investigate it.
Okay, okay. Deriving from the same idea, that when we put, let's say, the tourism sector aside, then what or which might be the sectors that you suggest total quality management and then online reputation to, let's say, or to add online reputation to the total quality management activities or certificates or something like that?
Well, yeah, I would suggest that it should be some service, something to do with services and service industry as well, as in manufacturing industries where the total quality management first started. It's easier to, to produce the products. You have for example, the machines doing the same thing all over and all over again, whereas in the service sectors, they are hardly ever the same, and the consumption and the provision happens simultaneously. So that's why it's difficult to manage the quality in the service sector. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then I have also one question that is related to stakeholders, to different stakeholders, because you were emphasizing the part of the customers, customer satisfaction as one of the main variables here, so that which might be the other stakeholders that play an important role here?
Well, in tourism, very important parts are played by the intermediaries, meaning that the online travel agencies, the bureaus who are doing the inbound tourism and also the outbound tourism, but that they could use the certificates to decide what businesses with which businesses to cooperate with. For example, yeah, I think intermediaries are, and also the suppliers could also decide which businesses to make to cooperate with. And also I think the government institutions, for example, when they do the procurements to which businesses to, I don't know, do the next seminar or conference, then they could also look at this, if this to prefer those businesses who have certifications over the ones who don't have.
Okay, okay. There is one, it is related to the question that I was just asking, but I would still ask from a little bit different side, so that you said several times, and you told us that total quality management in your view is equal to customer satisfaction. So that this is your assumption, what you made during your presentation and within your thesis. But however, which factors might be the others who play an important role in this total quality management.
You mean outcomes?
Yes, yes. So that, yeah.
Yeah.
So that
well, in tourism, what I identified in my study are the two main outcomes are, first of all, customer satisfaction, as I already touched upon the service and manufacturing differences as well, and customers are the one receiving the service, and they sensing the value for money, and are also not just keeping their experience to themselves, but also expressing it more online nowadays. That's why customer satisfaction is important. And the financial performance, it's like, should be the main goal at the end of the day for anyone doing business. But I think the other outcomes which would also show the effectiveness of total quality management, for example, would be the satisfaction of employees and also the employees' turnover, how many of them are leaving in after what time period. So I think that shows as well quite effectively if the decisions that management has made are worthwhile.
Yeah, yeah. So different variables related to non-financial just features.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Okay. And then I have one more thing that was something that bothered me within the thesis and also during the presentation several times, that you are like saying that, let's say, your results can be generalized also to other countries because SMEs are there everywhere in tourism sector. Let's say I'm not totally convinced that it is the only thing can make it like generalizable. So that what other things are important here? And let's say one thing that I really would have to like to also read from the thesis and hear from your presentation is about the context, because the context, Estonian context, is different from the context, for example, in Spain or in Ireland or in Scotland, if we take just these rather similar countries. So that, and yeah, Italy, so that only European, not going any further. But how can you, let's say, yes, what can you tell about this in terms of the context, so that how is Estonian context, how we can be able to like find some kind of similarities or generalizations when it comes to other contexts as well?
Yeah, I introduced the Estonian tourism context more thoroughly in my thesis, and yeah, well, that is not probably enough just to say that, as I am familiar with the context in other countries as well. So it's just my knowledge that I know that these are also, the situation is quite the same regardless of whether we take the Spain or Germany or Estonia or Latvia, Lithuania. It's still that tourism business is happening in the bigger cities, which have better transportation connections, and smaller businesses are then fighting to get the domestic tourists, and then to get some piece of the international ones as well. So that the situation is the same for...
Can you also find some differences within those contexts? So you were now trying to find the similarities, but can there be also something that is different due to the
for
context?
Sure, yeah. One thing I can think of is the language barrier, meaning that the tourism businesses in rural destinations in Estonia, they are not that comfortable in speaking foreign languages, whereas in Germany, for example, the people are more open and willing to speak in other languages as well, so that might definitely be an advantage for them in comparison to Estonian businesses.
And this also, let's say, has influence on their reputation and feedback and so on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Okay. So I think I was able to get also questions or questions answered. So thank you, Triin. And we have at least 2 questions, yes, from online audience, and then probably we have some questions also here. So that let's take first questions here. Do we have any? Yes, good.
Hi, thanks for the presentation, and it's an interesting topic. But during your, I think, conversation with the opponents, you had this thing that where the thesis based is like, should there be the certification? So after doing the research that you have done now, what would be your suggestion to the certification authority? Should they still continue with them or not?
You want my honest answer? I would suggest them to continue with them only if they include this online reputation, as well as I already mentioned that there should be a criteria which makes sure that the participant is aware of, or the applicant, what is going on online with their business, what are customers saying, how are they rating them, and also that this rating should be up to a certain level to get the certificate, so that it wouldn't be a situation where you have the quality certificate on your door, but actually the online ratings say a totally different thing. But what I can say in the favor to Estonian tourism sector, then the ratings are relatively high to most of them. So the situation is promising.
It's good to hear. So, we have one more.
In your presentation, you have had the slide where you presented the results and do they, support or confirm the previous results. And these, as far as I remember, there were 3 boxes, 3 different questions, 3 different results. And basically, they all confirmed the previous studies, except the, the study about the big cities in Italy and Spain. My question is, what is kind of specific findings from your research? Did you find something, which was unexpected, new in the context or at the background of the existing theory? Something which didn't maybe confirm necessarily the existing research so far, but, this something from you.
In terms of online reputation and customer satisfaction, it was I confirmed the previous ones, and also in terms of for the financial performance, the situation was sort of equal, and here I have only included the studies which also used the financial data and didn't rely upon managers' perception, and the hidden gem which I now bring out in my thesis is the last box, which finds that the online reputation acts as a mediator. So if the company doesn't have a good online reputation, or it's the prerequisite in order for the TQM to enhance any financial performance of the business.
Good. So thank you, audience, for the questions. And I think we have at least 2 questions. Oh, there are more. First questions and then. So, and we have at least 2 questions from online audience. Tiita Lenurm has asked 2 questions, and the first one is, has COVID-19 crisis changed the total quality management focus, and if yes, then how?
Thank you for the question. I was thinking, is there isn't any COVID here, but yeah, COVID has changed everything, not just total quality management in tourism sector, and the whole sector had to reconsider their business models that have been working so far. But to be honest, businesses outside of Tallinn actually say that they haven't had as good year as this summer was, for example, meaning that the Estonian tourists who would otherwise go abroad are now staying here in Estonia and enjoying the domestic tourism, but still it takes a lot of time for a sector to cover, and yeah, we are especially waiting for a Finnish market to recover. But in terms of TQM, I would say that it's a good time to use to enhance the program and make the necessary changes, and that the businesses have also time to allocate their resources more to the internal doings, so that when the tourists are coming back again, then they are more ready than ever to make the business.
Okay. Thank you. And there is another question from him as well. How are total quality management tools different in small and large travel agencies?
Yeah, tools different in travel agencies.
Yes.
Well, yeah, in my work I did not tackle the travel agencies, the intermediaries in tourism, but tourism businesses. But what I can say, I think in terms of smaller travel agencies, they value more this informal interaction, which means that these certificates may not be that important to them, whereas bigger travel agencies, they are looking for the information prior the communication, and that's why certificates can send a signal out to them. So I would say that they are more beneficial for the larger travel agencies.
Okay, I hope Professor Tiita Lenurm is satisfied with those answers. I saw that there is also one more question, and yes, okay. So, okay, and the question actually comes also from online, and first of all, I think it's he's congratulating for you for this interesting topic, and asking question about the terms of generalizability, so that can this outcome be applied in other continents, so that not just European countries, for example, total quality management focus in African tourism.
Yeah, thank you for the interesting question. I think Dr. Declan can say if this would be adaptable in Canada, for example, Dr. McKenzie. But yeah, in terms of Africa, I would say I'm not familiar with their what is their situation with considering online reputation in terms of their business. So first of all, it would be worthwhile to know what is the situation if they're, but I would assume, considering that, for example, Bolt is there very strongly as well, that that African people are also very tech-driven and rely on online reputation. So, and also the businesses there are micro ones offering craft services and so forth. So, and they would benefit from the results of my thesis as well, to include them in quality management programs.
Okay, very good to hear that. So I think we have done with the questions now, and now it is time for supervisors. 5 minutes for our supervisors to say a couple of words about the process and work, and Triin as well.
I'm actually second supervisor. I don't know, we kind of changed the order. So but I have the honor to be the second supervisor of this work, and why second? Second in this context means that I'm the one who was dealing with this impact analysis and causality issues. So I'm the data person, and I have to admit that working with tourist data, this was my first experience with that. So I don't consider myself an expert of the topic at all. But my task here to spend these 2.5 minutes not to discussing myself, but to discuss Triin actually. So what should I say about the thesis? First, from data perspective, impact analysis and evaluation is always tricky. What is interesting about this is that Triin was able to run finally causal model, or I kind of believe that it's causal, and maybe for a data person to say to believe is kind of weak argument, but still. Meaning that we were kind of disentangled between structural equation models and Heckman type of estimations, and then this IV type of estimation, what was the final specification of the model, I'm pretty happy with. And also there was some sort of the panel aspects in the data, which I'm relatively happy about this thesis. So I guess in general, thinking about the data availability, the quality of this kind of SME level data structures and the panel properties of the data set, I guess this thesis kind of tackles it pretty well. However, I have to admit, on the theory side, I was pushing the signal theory because I'm the economist, and I was kind of opposing this TQM idea for a long time. So, but the first supervisor has strongest say on that, so I will give the mic to Katri, and maybe you can add something about Triin's work and how do you feel about it as well. So thank you, Triin, to engaging me.
Thank you, Kaire. So Kaire gave me floor almost like I would now start talking about TQM, but that was not my plan. I would rather use my few minutes to not speak so much about the thesis, but Triin's journey as a doctoral student, because I think this is quite remarkable in our EBS context, because Triin has almost been like the model doctoral student. Whenever we working at the doctoral program here at EBS have been a little bit dissatisfied with the overall progress of our doctoral students or how they are doing, then we always have had Triin, who has been progressing through all the stages very independently with high motivation, working very hard. Remarkably, she has also been able to have a full-time job, have a baby, and do a doctoral dissertation, almost in the limit of the years that is the nominal time for the doctoral program. So I think it's kind of a major achievement and speaks a lot about Triin as a person and how hardworking and dedicated she is. So in Estonia, it's Teachers' Day today. I'm not sure whether it's celebrated elsewhere, but I think Triin is a student that's like a dream student of every teacher. So thank you. Thank you very much for the reviewers for their work on the thesis as well.
Okay, so thank you. All of you for the questions, for the comments, for the presentations, for these nice words about Triin. So that now it is the time when me, Brent and Declan are going to the secret room and online secret room, and the others I'm asking to leave this main hall, and online it is going to be also a break for you, so that 10 minutes and then we have the voting. Tulete tagasi ikka? Yeah. So, yeah. I hope that the nerves will calm down, so that we have decided, we have voted, and we have the results. And now I'm reading out the results for PhD dissertation of Triin Veideman, for the dissertation and also for today's presentation. And the votes are following. There are 2 votes in favor and 1 vote against. So that it is my big honor and pleasure to say that we have made the positive decision, and the Defense Committee has decided to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Management to Triin Veideman. So that big applause and flowers. So that thank you, Triin, and big congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you can add 2 small letters to your title. Now you are doctor.
Thank you.
So that,
Yeah.
and thank you for this very interesting discussion today, and all the best, whatever you do in your lives, in academic field and in your life, personal and in business.
Yeah.
So, and I think there are also congratulations to both supervisors. So big applause and congratulations. And definitely I would like to big thanks to our external reviewers, opponents, so that Declan and Brent, you have been really helpful, and big thanks to you. So,
you're welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, do you have any comments to add? Now it is also the time.
May I say?
Congratulations, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I would like to thank both of the opponents. Sincere thanks to you, and also head of the committee, Mari, for leading the process. And also million thanks to both of my supervisors. Your help has been enormous to me. And also I would like to thank EBS for taking me in with my tourism topic, and also giving me the opportunities to participate in the winter writing schools, in the summer schools, and in because without those it would have been way more difficult to do this thesis from the work and to balance the work and family life. So really, thank you all, and have a nice evening.
And the audience for great questions, and also online viewers. So happy to say it's over.
Bye-bye, everybody.